Princess Saritha Vel'Karan watched the human bodyguard with barely concealed contempt. He stood at 5'9" in a room full of warriors who towered over 7 feet. His frame was compact, where theirs rippled with muscle. Everything about Dex Hale screamed inadequate. Yet Talon Security had assigned him as her personal protection during the most dangerous diplomatic mission of her life. "This is who protects me?" She didn't bother lowering her voice. "A human?" Dex's gray eyes flicked to her, assessing, then returned to scanning the crowd. He said nothing. Around them, Obsidian Gate's reception hall glittered with false diplomacy. Ambassadors from a dozen species mingled beneath crystalline chandeliers while tension coiled like a spring. Saritha's mission was simple in concept, impossible in execution. Negotiate peace in the Corvan Reach, ending decades of border wars that had bled both sides dry. What she didn't know, what she wouldn't discover until bodies littered the floor, was that someone wanted her mission to fail, permanently. Captain Rena, her royal guard, moved to her side. "The human comes highly recommended, Highness. Talon doesn't assign contractors lightly." "He's decorative," Saritha said. "The moment real danger appears." The explosion took 11 seconds to change everything. It started with the server droid near the Corvan ambassador. Dex moved before the flash, before the sound, his body already in motion while Saritha's brain was still processing thread. He hit her like a tactical missile, driving her behind a support column as the droid detonated. Shrapnel screamed through the space where she'd been standing. Then the shooting started. Figures in stolen station enforcer uniforms poured through 3 entrances. Professional, coordinated, assassination team, not random violence. Saritha reached for her blade, but Dex was already returning fire. Controlled bursts, each shot finding a target while he used the column for cover. "Stay down," he barked. "I'm a warrior, not some—" Her protest died as she watched him work. He moved like water. When a massive Kroll charged him, Dex didn't retreat. He used the alien's momentum, redirecting the attack into a structural beam, then finished him with 2 shots before the body hit the ground. A Thorin smung a shock baton. Dex slid under the arc, jammed his pistol into the electrical panel behind them, and the resulting explosion of sparks blinded 3 attackers. He moved through them like choreographed violence. Princess Saritha Vel'Karan watched the human bodyguard with barely concealed contempt. He stood at 5'9" in a room full of warriors who towered over 7 feet. His frame was compact, where theirs rippled with muscle. Everything about Dex Hale screamed inadequate. Yet Talon Security had assigned him as her personal protection during the most dangerous diplomatic mission of her life. "This is who protects me?" She didn't bother lowering her voice. "A human?" Dex's gray eyes flicked to her, assessing, then returned to scanning the crowd. He said nothing. Around them, Obsidian Gate's reception hall glittered with false diplomacy. Ambassadors from a dozen species mingled beneath crystalline chandeliers while tension coiled like a spring. Saritha's mission was simple in concept, impossible in execution. Negotiate peace in the Corvan Reach, ending decades of border wars that had bled both sides dry. What she didn't know, what she wouldn't discover until bodies littered the floor, was that someone wanted her mission to fail, permanently. Captain Rena, her royal guard, moved to her side. "The human comes highly recommended, Highness. Talon doesn't assign contractors lightly." "He's decorative," Saritha said. "The moment real danger appears." The explosion took 11 seconds to change everything. It started with the server droid near the Corvan ambassador. Dex moved before the flash, before the sound, his body already in motion while Saritha's brain was still processing thread. He hit her like a tactical missile, driving her behind a support column as the droid detonated. Shrapnel screamed through the space where she'd been standing. Then the shooting started. Figures in stolen station enforcer uniforms poured through 3 entrances. Professional, coordinated, assassination team, not random violence. Saritha reached for her blade, but Dex was already returning fire. Controlled bursts, each shot finding a target while he used the column for cover. "Stay down," he barked. "I'm a warrior, not some—" Her protest died as she watched him work. He moved like water. When a massive Kroll charged him, Dex didn't retreat. He used the alien's momentum, redirecting the attack into a structural beam, then finished him with 2 shots before the body hit the ground. A Thorin smung a shock baton. Dex slid under the arc, jammed his pistol into the electrical panel behind them, and the resulting explosion of sparks blinded 3 attackers. He moved through them like choreographed violence. 11 seconds. That's how long it took from first shot to silence. Saritha stood slowly, her legs unsteady. Around them lay 7 bodies. Dex was already reloading, his breathing barely elevated, a thin line of blood seeping from his ribs where a blade had found him. "You're injured," she said, voice strange to her own ears. "Shallow. We need to move." He pulled up a holo map. "They'll have the main corridors locked down. Service passages 3 levels down." Rena appeared from behind overturned furniture, her armor scorched. "Highness, we need to get you to safety. This was a coordinated strike." "Who?" Saritha demanded, but she already felt the cold certainty settling in her gut. Dex met her eyes. "Someone with resources. Someone who knew your schedule." He paused. "Someone close." The implications hit like a fist. Saritha's betrothed, Commander Vorath, was the only one with complete access to her security details. But that was impossible. They'd been promised to each other since birth. Their marriage would unite 2 great houses, cement peace. Unless peace wasn't what he wanted. "Move," Dex said. "Analyze later. Survive now." They descended into Obsidian Gate's industrial underbelly, where the station's pretty facade gave way to the machinery that kept thousands alive in the void. Dex led them through maintenance shafts barely wide enough for Saritha's shoulders, his movements efficient, certain. She watched him, really watched him for the first time. Every gesture was economical. He never wasted energy, never made unnecessary sound. When they encountered a locked bulkhead, his fingers flew across the access panel, not hacking with brute force, but finding the path of least resistance. When distant footsteps echoed, he pulled them into shadows and simply waited, patient as stone. "You've done this before," she said quietly. "Extraction under hostile conditions? Occupational hazard." He glanced at her. "How's the shoulder?" She'd taken a glancing plasma bolt during the initial attack. Functional. His eyes narrowed. "That means it hurts. I'm a warrior of House Vel'Karan. We don't acknowledge weakness." "Right." He pulled out a medical kit. "Sit." "We should keep sit, princess." Something in his tone made her comply. He worked quickly, cleaning and sealing the burn with practiced efficiency. His hands were gentle despite their calluses, and she found herself studying his face. The small scar on his jaw, the gray eyes that never stopped calculating angles and exits. "Why do humans fight the way you do?" she asked. "On Vel'Kara, we're taught that true strength is direct, honorable. You fight like someone who'd lose a fair fight?" He smiled without humor. "On Earth, we learned early that the biggest predator usually wins, so we got clever instead, used tools, changed tactics, survived long enough to evolve attitude. That makes you deadly. That makes us adaptable. Deadly is just a side effect." He finished with her shoulder, but his hand lingered a moment longer than necessary. Their eyes met, and something electric passed between them. Rena's voice cut through the moment. "Contact! Multiple hostiles, approaching fast." Dex was moving before the last word left her mouth, pulling Saritha deeper into the maze of pipes and conduits. Behind them, the sound of boots on metal echoed like drum beats. They found a narrow gap between bulkheads, barely wide enough for Saritha's frame. Dex pressed them into the darkness, his body against hers in the confined space. She could feel his heartbeat, steady despite the violence they'd just survived. Could smell copper and cordite and something uniquely him. "You took that blade cut protecting me," she whispered. "That's the job. On my world, a warrior who sheds blood for another has earned their respect." His eyes found hers in the dimness. "Just doing what I'm paid for, Princess." "Saritha," she corrected. "My name is Saritha." The moment stretched. Then he nodded once. "Saritha." The way he said it, no title, no formality, just her name, made something in her chest tighten. Skitch, the information dealer, occupied a gutted fuel tank in the station's lower levels, surrounded by enough data screens to blind someone with photosensitivity. The reptilian scales flickered anxious yellow as they approached. "Princess." He didn't look up. "You've made powerful enemies. Half the mercenary guilds on this station have your bounty posting." "Who's paying?" Dex asked, his hand resting casually on his pistol. Skitch pulled up files, encryption keys dancing across screens. "Money's routed through 6 shell corporations, but I traced it back." He paused. "Commander Vorath Vel'Karan, your betrothed, Princess." The words hit Saritha like a physical blow. She gripped the edge of Skitch's desk, metal groaning under her fingers. "That's not possible." "Your diplomatic mission ends the border conflicts," Skitch said, scales flashing red. "Which ends the military contracts your betrothed profits from. Billions in procurement deals. Private security forces he commands. All gone if peace breaks out." Saritha's laugh was brittle, sharp enough to cut. "I've spent my entire life preparing to be his partner." "You were a problem to be solved," Dex said quietly. She turned on him, amber eyes blazing. "Don't you dare pity me. I'm still a warrior of—" The explosion took out Skitch's outer door. Professional killers poured through smoke and fire, military-grade armor, weapons hot. Dex moved on instinct, dragging Saritha behind a support beam as plasma bolts seared the air. He returned fire with mechanical precision, headshot, center mass, weapon hand. An attacker came at him with a vibroblade. Dex redirected the strike into the alien's own teammate, used the momentum to break the first attacker's elbow, finished with his pistol against the second's temple. But there were too many. A heavy round caught his left arm. He kept fighting, switched hands smoothly, but his magazine was running dry. Saritha surged to her feet with a roar that shook the tank's walls. Wounded, furious, she crashed into the assault team like a storm. Her blade sang through armor. Her free hand grabbed an alien by the throat and used him as a shield. Together they carved through the attack. Dex's precision and her power moved in concert, anticipating each other's rhythms. When she committed to a strike, he covered her flank. When he needed space, she created it with devastating sweeps. The last attacker tried to run. Dex put him down with a round through the leg. "Talk," Dex said. "Who sent you?" The alien laughed through pain. "You're already dead. Commander's got every dock locked down, every exit covered." Rena executed him with a single shot. "There, abandoned hab unit. We can regroup." Inside was exactly what forgotten station real estate offered. Broken furniture, flickering lights, the smell of recycled air that had seen better days. But it had walls and a door that locked. Dex swept the space while Saritha sank against the wall, hand pressed to her wounded shoulder. The adrenaline was fading, leaving shock in its wake. "He wants me dead," she said, "my own betrothed." Dex knelt beside her, pulling out what remained of his medical supplies. "Let me see." She moved her hand, revealing the plasma burn. He worked in silence, and she watched his face, the concentration there, the careful precision of his touch. Her fingers, so deadly in combat, trembled slightly against his skin. "You're still bleeding, too," she said quietly, nodding to his ribs. "I'll live." "Dex." She caught his wrist, making him look at her. My entire life, I was taught what strength looks like. Size, power, direct confrontation. Her voice dropped. Then you changed everything in 11 seconds. Just doing my... No, her grip tightened. You showed me that everything I believed was a lie. That strength is about will, adaptation, surviving when every advantage says you shouldn't. Her free hand came up to trace the line of his jaw, tentative. He held very still. "You're injured," he said quietly, in shock. "This isn't what? Appropriate?" Something fierce entered her eyes. "I'm tired of appropriate. Tired of living for duty and tradition and other people's expectations." Her fingers framed his face. "Right now, I want something that's mine, my choice." She kissed him. It was tentative at first, questioning. When he didn't pull away, she deepened it, pressing closer. His control cracked, and he kissed her back, one hand tangling in her copper hair, the other bracing against the wall beside her head. The kiss turned hungry, desperate, all the tension of the last hours igniting. When her tongue traced his lower lip, he made a sound low in his throat that seemed to undo something in her. She pulled him closer, heedless of her wound, needing contact. His hands found her waist, mapping the curve of her body. She was all lean muscle and heat, and when she shifted to straddle his lap, he hissed. "Your arm." "Don't care." Her hands pulled at his jacket until he shrugged it off. The underlayer came next, revealing scarred skin and compact muscle. She traced each mark with something like reverence. "You're covered in them," she breathed. "Survival's not pretty. It's beautiful." She kissed them, her lips finding the story written on his skin. They came together with an urgency born of adrenaline and need, and the knowledge that tomorrow might never come. She was strong enough to hurt him, but her touch was careful, reverent. He met her intensity with controlled passion, learning what made her gasp, what made her moan his name. After, they lay tangled together, sweat cooling on their skin. Station lights bled through the broken window, casting patterns across their bodies. Saritha's head rested on his chest, listening to his heartbeat. "What happens now?" she asked quietly. "We survive, get you off this station, complete your mission. And then? I don't know." She lifted her head to look at him. "I can't go back to Vorath, can't marry someone who tried to kill me." "That'll cause problems." "Let it." Her voice was fierce. "I'm done being what everyone else needs me to be." He tucked a strand of copper hair behind her pointed ear. "What do you want?" "I don't know yet, but I know I want you on it." Before he could respond, Rena's urgent whisper cut through the moment. Movement outside, multiple contacts. They dressed quickly, professionalism sliding back, even as something fundamental has shifted between them. Through the window, figures moved in the corridor, more than before, better equipped. "They found us," Saritha said. "They were always going to." Dex checked his weapons, calculated odds. Doc 47 is 4 levels up. If we move fast, we're outnumbered 10-1. Probably, but sitting here guarantees we die. He looked at her, saw not the arrogant princess from the reception, but a woman who'd found her purpose. "You ready for this?" Saritha checked her blade, flexed her wounded shoulder, and smiled. Not the cruel expression from before, but something genuine and fierce. "With you? Yes." The industrial sector never slept. Massive fabricators churned behind safety barriers, casting everything in strobing red and white. The noise was tremendous, metal screaming against metal, hydraulics hissing, the constant thrum of generators feeding the station's heart. Perfect cover. Dex led them through a maintenance catwalk suspended 40 feet above the factory floor. Saritha moved beside him now, not behind, her presence a solid warmth at his shoulder. Rena brought up the rear, weapon tracking potential threats. 3 more levels, Dex said, checking his tactical display. Then we hit the commercial ring. An alarm shrieked. Emergency lights flooded the sector crimson. "They've tagged us," Rena said. The catwalk ahead terminated at a security checkpoint. 2 guards in station armor, weapons already rising. Behind them, boots clattered on metal. Trapped between 2 forces, suspended over a killing drop. "Saritha, can you make that jump?" Dex pointed to an adjacent catwalk 20 feet away. She gauged the distance, nodded once. "Rena?" The captain shook her head. "I'll hold here, buy you time." "Rena, no," Saritha started. "It's been an honor, Princess." Rena turned to face the pursuit, her weapon singing. "Complete the mission. Make my stand mean something." Dex grabbed Saritha's hand and ran. Behind them, plasma fire lit the darkness. Rena's defiant roar echoed over the machinery. They hit the edge and jumped together, bodies arcing through empty air. For a heartbeat, gravity had them. Then they slammed into the opposite catwalk, metal groaning under the impact. Saritha nipped back once, saw Rena fall, and something in her face went cold and hard. "Keep moving," Dex said, not unkindly. "Honor her sacrifice." The commercial ring was chaos when they emerged, hundreds of species mixing in the bazaar. Traders hawking goods, families seeking entertainment. Dex and Saritha blended into the crowd, just 2 more faces among thousands. "There," Saritha murmured, 3 o'clock, my people." 4 of her former royal guards pushed through the crowd, scanning faces. They hadn't spotted them yet. "They think they're rescuing you," Dex observed. "I know." Her grip on his hand tightened. "Vorath will have told them I was kidnapped, compromised, my word against his." They changed direction, heading toward an isolated corridor. "Let the guards follow. Give them the confrontation on controlled terms." The shipping depot was half empty, good sight lines, multiple exits. The guards entered cautiously, weapons drawn. "Princess Saritha." The lead guard's name was Torin, 20 years of service, decorated twice for valor. "Step away from the human. You're safe now." "I am safe, Torin," Saritha said, not moving. "This man has kept me alive while my betrothed tried to have me killed." "Commander Vorath would never." "Commander Vorath hired the assassins, paid mercenaries to hunt us, ordered my death because my diplomatic mission threatens his profits." Her voice carried command now, every inch the princess despite the blood on her clothes. "Stand down." Torin's eyes flicked between them, confusion warring with duty. "The commander showed us evidence, messages between you and separatist groups, plans to betray the homeworld." "Fabricated." "Then come with us. We'll sort this out properly." "Those channels end with me in a cell while Vorath controls the narrative." She stepped forward, placing herself between Dex and the guards. "I'm asking you as your princess to trust me." "I'm sorry, Highness." Torin raised his weapon. "But my orders are clear." What happened next took 3 seconds. Saritha moved first, blade clearing its sheath as she closed the distance. Torin blocked, their weapons ringing against each other. The other guards spread out, flanking. Dex dropped the first with a shot to the knee, non-lethal but decisive. The second guard swung at him with a shot baton. He ducked under, used the guard's momentum to send him crashing into a cargo container. Saritha and Torin fought like they trained together, because they had. He knew her forms, anticipated her strikes, but she'd learned new things. Where Torin expected a high strike, she swept low. Where he prepared for power, she used precision. A third guard came at Dex from behind. He spun, caught the arm, used a joint lock that dropped the alien to his knees. A strike to the nerve cluster at the base of the skull, and the guard went limp. "Saritha, what happened to you?" Torin demanded, breathing hard. "This isn't how we fight." "I learned there's more than one kind of strength." She disarmed him with a move Dex recognized, one of his own techniques adapted for her reach and power. Torin's weapon clattered across the floor. She held her blade to his throat, not quite touching. I loved you like a brother, Torin. Don't make me kill you. The commander will come for you, Torin said. He's already on the station. This ends with you dead or returned to him. Then let him come. She lowered her blade, stepped back. But you walk away, all of you. Tell Vorath I'm done running. Torin gathered his wounded guards. At the exit, he paused. You've changed, Princess. I've woken up. When they were alone, Saritha's trembling finally showed. Rena's dead. I just fought guards I've known since childhood, and my betrothed is here hunting me personally. She looked at Dex, eyes bright with unshed tears. Tell me this ends. It ends when we get you to that dock. He checked his chronometer. 15 minutes to our window. And Vorath is between us and that dock. Dex reloaded his pistol, movements automatic. So we go through him too. She kissed him then, hard and quick, tasting of desperation and determination. When this is over, he interrupted, you tell me what you want, but right now, we survive. Together. Dock 47 sat at the end of a long access corridor. Beyond reinforced viewports, a sleek diplomatic vessel waited, engines already cycling up. Freedom was 200 meters away. Between them and that freedom stood Commander Saritha Vel'Karan and 12 of his personal guard. He was everything Saritha's culture valued, 6'8" of muscle and warrior bearing, armor etched with campaigns from a dozen worlds. His copper hair was bound in traditional warrior braids, and his amber eyes held the absolute certainty of someone who'd never been denied. Saritha, he said, voice carrying easily across the space. This farce ends now. She stepped forward, Dex a half-pace behind. The only farce is our betrothal. Did you really think I wouldn't discover your attempt on my life? Attempt? Vorath smiled, cold and sharp. My dear, if I truly wanted you dead, we wouldn't be having this conversation. This was a lesson. You were meant to fail your mission, return home chastened, ready to accept your proper role. As your political ornament while you profit from war. As my partner in building an empire. He gestured at the station around them. Peace makes us weak. The border conflicts keep our military strong, our economy growing. Your naive diplomacy would destroy everything. It would save thousands of lives. Lives of lesser species. His contempt was palpable. The Vel'Karan have always been conquerors, Saritha. It's our nature. Dex spoke for the first time, his voice quiet but carrying. Funny how people always call conquest nature when it's profitable. Vorath's eyes focused on him, really seeing him for the first time. His expression flickered through confusion to contempt. And this is your champion? The pet human who's been leading you through sewers? He's been teaching me to fight smart, Saritha said, something our traditions forgot. Step aside, little man. This is between the princess and me. No, Saritha's voice rang with command. By the old laws, I invoke Talkesh, trial by combat. My champion against yours. Vorath laughed, the sound echoing off metal walls. You want this human to face me? Saritha, I'll break him in half. Then you should have no problem accepting. The commander's smile faded. Around them, his guard shifted, uncertain. Talkesh was ancient law, binding even on military commanders. To refuse was to show fear. Very well. Vorath removed his helmet, handed his rifle to a lieutenant. I'll kill your pet quickly, then we'll discuss your return home. And when he wins, Saritha said, you release your claim on me publicly. You confess to the assassination attempt and face judgment. When I win, you honor our betrothal without further complaint. He drew a massive blade, ornate but functional. Agreed? Agreed. Dex checked his weapons, his face expressionless. Saritha grabbed his arm. "You don't have to do this. We can fight our way through." 12 guards plus him and a corridor with one exit. He met her eyes. "This is the smart play." "He's twice your size." "I've noticed." He kissed her, quick and certain. "Trust me." The combat space cleared, guards forming a loose circle. Vorath rolled his shoulders, completely relaxed. He'd trained for this his entire life, fought in tournaments and real battles, never lost. Across from him, Dex looked small and tired, blood still seeping through his jacket from earlier wounds. "Last chance to walk away, human," Vorath said. Dex said nothing. He simply waited, absolutely still, watching. Vorath attacked. He was fast for his size, blade coming in a textbook strike, meant to split Dex from shoulder to hip. But Dex wasn't there. He'd moved before the strike fully committed, sliding inside Vorath's reach where the long blade was useless. His elbow cracked against the commander's ribs. Then he was out again before Vorath could grapple. "Coward," Vorath spat. "Stand and fight." Dex circled, patient. Vorath came again, this time with a combination: high strike, low sweep, spinning back cut. Each move was perfect form, the kind of technique that won tournaments. Each move hit empty air. Dex moved through the attacks like smoke, never where Vorath expected, constantly forcing the bigger alien to adjust. The third exchange drew first blood. Vorath overcommitted to a thrust, and Dex's combat knife opened a line across his forearm. Not deep, just enough to sting. To remind him that size meant nothing if you couldn't land a hit. "You can't win by running," Vorath growled. Not running, waiting. Vorath's attacks grew more aggressive, less precise. Frustration bled into his technique. He abandoned form in favor of power, trying to use his superior strength to overwhelm. But power meant nothing against an opponent who treated the fight like a math problem. Dex led him into a rhythm: attack, evade, counter, retreat. Each exchange left Vorath slightly more off balance, slightly more tired. The commander's breathing grew labored, his movements fractionally slower. Meanwhile, Dex fought with mechanical efficiency, every motion minimal, wasting nothing. Saritha watched with her heart in her throat, seeing what the guards couldn't. Dex wasn't trying to win quickly. He was teaching, showing everyone watching that size and strength were nothing without discipline. Vorath made his final mistake in the 8th minute. He committed fully to an overhead strike, putting all his strength behind it. Dex sidestepped, grabbed the descending arm, and used Vorath's own momentum to send him crashing into the bulkhead. Before the commander could recover, Dex had him in a joint lock, knee in his spine, blade at his throat. "Yield," Dex said quietly. Vorath struggled, but the lock was perfect. Any movement would dislocate his shoulder or open his throat against the knife. "I said yield." "I'll kill you," Vorath gasped. "I'll hunt you across the galaxy." "You'll do nothing." Saritha's voice cut through his threats. She stood over them both, her own blade drawn. "Because the fight is over and you lost. By the laws you invoked, your claim is void." She looked at his guards, at the station personnel who'd gathered to watch. "This man tried to have me assassinated. He admitted it freely, here in front of witnesses. Record this, transmit it. Let the homeworld see what their war hero truly is." One guard lowered his weapon, then another. Vorath's support crumbled as the truth settled in. "You're done," Saritha said. "Station security is already on their way. You'll face trial for attempted murder of a royal. And I'm going to complete my diplomatic mission, end your profitable little war, and dismantle everything you built on blood." Dex released Vorath, stepped back. The commander lay there, defeat written in every line of his body. "Ship's departing in 3 minutes," Dex said. They ran. The airlock cycled as they reached it. Ambassador Chirith's insectoid form was visible through the viewport, chittering with concern. "Princess Saritha, we were growing concerned." "My apologies for the delay." She looked at Dex. "Ambassador, this is Dex Hale, my personal security consultant." "And much more than that," she added quietly. They boarded. The door sealed behind them, cutting off the sound of station security arriving to collect Vorath. Through the viewport, Saritha watched Obsidian Gate begin to recede as the ship pulled away. "What will you do now?" Dex asked. She was quiet for a long moment, watching stars slide past. "Complete the mission. End the war. Then face the council and explain why I broke a betrothal they arranged before I was born." "That'll be messy." "Probably." She turned to him, reached out to trace the line of his jaw. "Will you stay? I know you're contracted through Talent Security, but I'd like to keep you on, officially." "As your guard?" "As my partner." She leaned down, her forehead touching his. "I know it's fast. I know it's complicated. But you showed me I'm stronger than I thought, braver than I was taught to be. You didn't just protect my life, Dex. You helped me find it. I'm just a mercenary with a good survival rate. You're the man who changed my world in 11 seconds. She kissed him, slow and deep. "So, what do you say? Want to stick around while I try to reshape galactic politics and probably make enemies of half my homeworld?" He considered. Thought about the clean, uncomplicated life of a security contractor. Thought about duty and protocol and professional distance. Then he looked at her. Emerald skin, copper hair, amber eyes that saw him not as small, but as exactly enough. "Yeah," he said, "I think I can do that." She laughed, the sound nothing like that cruel amusement from the reception. This was genuine, joyful, free. She pulled him closer, heedless of the ambassador chittering in the background about impropriety. "You know," she murmured against his mouth, "when I first saw you, I thought you were too small to be my guard. And now? Now I know you're exactly the right size to be my everything." The ship jumped to hyperspace, carrying them toward whatever future they'd build together. Behind them, Obsidian Gate faded into memory. Ahead, a galaxy full of challenges and enemies and impossible odds. Dex Hale had faced worse, and now he wasn't facing them alone.